I'm here with Mark Nelson from Rio Grande, and today he's going to show us some really cool techniques for embellishing wood. And he's going to show us some bangles, but you could use this for any wooden surface. So Mark?
That's right. If you ever find any kind of wooden bead or bracelet that you might find is kind of interesting, but you want to make it even more so, here's some techniques that you can do that with. One thing that you can do is actually cut a ledge in something and actually stitch metal into it.
Wow.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get started with a ledge first.
Okay.
Definitely got to wear safety glasses. We're going to be working with a flex shaft, and most of these are tools that I use for carving wax, but they work really great for wood too.
And does it matter what kind of wood you're using?
Not really. You will find that some are softer than others.
Okay.
And so you'll know right away when you put a tool to it. If you do happen to find something like ebony or mahogany, those pieces will be a little harder to do.
And what kind of bit is this on the drill?
This is a big cylinder burr.
Okay.
It's really big. It's got really big teeth, and you can see it chatters a lot. So if you really want to remove a lot of material, this is a good way to do it.
But you really have to hold on tight.
You do. You don't want to, grip like this, because you do need some flexibility.
It looks like you're holding it kind of like a pencil.
Kind of like a pencil, but my hands are connected to the piece. I have a high speed going, and just use a very light touch. And this will save a lot of time. You're kind of roughing it out. And you just go and keep cutting. You can see the color difference there too. And you can use that to your advantage in your design.
Now, would you mark that first before you get started? Or?
It depends on how you like to work. If you want to mark it out
I should
first,
say, would somebody who's a real perfectionist mark this first and then
yeah,
get started?
you can.
Okay.
One way to do that is actually with a file. And you use the edge of it right here. And you can use your thumb as a guide and just kind of mark it out.
All right.
And if you're rough, like me, you can just smooth this out the file afterwards. And this actually goes, like I said, very quickly.
Now, do you only do this on the edge, or can you do this on other surfaces?
Anywhere you think you might want to add a design.
All right.
Yeah. Once you're done, let's see, here's a different piece. Now this actually was a different shaped piece that had
that is cool.
the opportunity to go across to make a ledge. And if you want to stitch metal like I did here with copper, this is a copper wire I found from a garage door opener.
Yeah.
And I just stripped the insulation off. And you can come in here even with just a pen vise and a drill bit and drill this by hand. And it goes very fast.
I guess.
Okay.
And then you're just stitching your wire through.
Just stitching and pulling it through.
And you could use any kind of bracelet for this.
Anything.
You could create a ledge across the middle like that, or any kind of surface.
Yeah,
that is
definitely.
really neat.
And then there's all kinds of surface embellishments that you can do. One thing you can do is use regular marking stamps and create words.
Oh, wow.
Just by pushing it in.
Oh, my goodness. Easy.
And then if you go to do some coloring, like I did here with some colored pencil, these are really nice colored pencils that have a wax base.
Okay.
So they're going to seal the wood too.
I was just going to ask if you would seal it afterward, so you wouldn't really need to.
Not so much if you use colored pencil, but you can see if you go over that letter.
It really brings out your design.
It can. So there's a kind of a carving technique that you can do.
I like the way that you did all this kind of crosshatch work here.
This is
it
actually
gives it some texture.
from art school.
Oh.
It's a technique I use a lot for my drawings that I do. And the thing about these kind of waxy pencils is that you can really layer different colors on here, and then take your fingernail and just kind of remove it and smudge it and really kind of wear it down.
Yeah, and this is going to work really well on a soft wood like this.
Exactly.
But if you had a harder wood, then you're probably not going to be able to color it as well, do you think?
Well, if you run into that situation, take some sandpaper.
Oh, right.
And roughen it up and give it some tooth.
All right.
And that'll also actually help take off any kind of finish that was on the wood.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And here we I went kind of a different route.
I love this.
This is nice.
This is really cool. Very steampunk.
This is kind of ebony stain. I actually sanded it and then restained it, refinished it.
All right.
I also added a metal sterling silver pane on here using found wood screws from a toy that we took apart. And I stamped the metal and just added it to this.
So these are really recycled in a lot of ways. I
In a
mean,
lot
you
of
could
ways.
take a lot of different pieces and add them.
Scrap pieces of metal that you have laying around your bench work really well. You can just add them. You can glue any kind of leather or fabric to it. So the whole thing is, don't be satisfied with what you find. You know, make it your own and change it and make it unique.
And I think it takes an eye and some practice too to look at a finished piece and say, oh,
What's the
I can do
potential?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, you drilled a hole, right?
This I drilled a hole.
And then you did a rivet?
This is, yeah, called a tube rivet. And I did something a little bit different in that I made these little flares, which makes it a lot easier to do a tube rivet on an uneven surface. And what I can do real quickly is show you that I drill a hole and stick a tube through, and then I just mark it and cut it.
Okay.
And to cut the flares, what you want to do is actually use a cutoff wheel.
And don't forget to put your safety
you
glasses
have to
on.
wear safety glasses when you do this, because these cutoff wheels will shatter on some cases. And you're just going to cut little slits across there, all the way down to the wood, so that when you flare them out, it'll grab the wood.
All right.
And then to actually flare it, you're just going to take the, like a chasing hammer with a ball peen on here, and kind of tap it down.
And so this is going to bring your ends really flush with the surface, no
Exactly.
matter if it's curved or
And the
flat.
nice thing about the wood is it's soft, so you can actually embed those into the wood, and it's not going to be rough to the touch.
Yeah, and it's really decorative too. I mean, more decorative that way.
And you
That is
can just
great.
flip it over and do the other side.
And what did you do here?
Here on this side, I started just experimenting with pens, ink, and using some drawing techniques of some cross hatching, and just started, you know, playing around with it.
Filling it in.
And then I'll go in and maybe with some color, maybe some red, and fill it in that way. And this is going to be a really striking bracelet when it's
Yeah,
done.
it is. Are the stitch lines, this is wire too, isn't it?
This is sterling
this
wire.
the same technique that you showed us on the other bracelet, where you did a
Exactly.
little bit of drilling? Okay.
Now the tedious part was drilling all the holes.
Right.
And it took a long time to stitch that wire. It's not quite like thread. You have to pull it all the way through.
Right. I think it's worth it though. The results are great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That is so neat. Now this bracelet over here, you said that, tell us how you did this.
Well, I started with a bracelet that's very similar to this, same shape, and I knew instantly it needed more.
You had a vision.
I did. And I was looking for something, and I found this pull chain from a lamp in my garage, and I said, I got to add that. So I took a ball burr that was the dimension that I needed, and just cut a new groove right down the center, and then gave it some color with a colored pencil.
Behind there. So you have the color laying behind the chain.
Exactly, to make that chain pop out. And the finish, I just used a torch and burnt the wood.
Oh, that is so neat.
Finished it out.
I really love that look. Very much making it your own style.
Definitely, and it was things that you find laying around. I mean, you can add any of this stuff to your bracelets or beads or whatever.
Right. Well, that is so great. Thank you so much, Mark.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I'll be right back.